sad news today, of course, for the football world to digest as Gianluca Vialli lost his battle with cancer, dying at the age of 58. It's incredible to see some of the tributes paid not only in Italy but across the world to a player that seemed to have had a positive impact wherever he had been. Of course, most notably, we remember him at Chelsea, for those who grew up in England, winning the FA Cup in '97. Juventus, of course, were led to the Champions League title when he was there back in '96. What a team that was. And some incredible sentiments coming out from the Sampdoria side that won Serie A in 1991. Well, for more on this, and these are the two gentlemen I thought of straight away when I saw the news today, Burley and Frank Leboeuf, who of course both played with Gianluca Vialli at Chelsea. And Craig, every time we've spoken about him, you've had nothing but love for him when we've talked about him in the past.
Yeah, and you know, you showed the graphic there of his success on the field, and rightly so. There was lots, but do you know, and a lot of the tributes today that I've heard as the day has gone on, and from Gianfranco Zola, Stevie's former teammate Graham Souness, who played with him in Italy, and others. It's not the football they talked about or the success on the field, but it was about the individual. And you know, when somebody signs for a club, when you have big stars coming in, as Chelsea started to evolve in the mid-90s, and the Hullets, the Hoddles, the Zolas, the Viallis, the Di Matteos, and dare I say, Mr. Leboeuf and others came in, you kind of don't wonder what you're getting as a footballer, because you kind of know you're getting a superstar, but you wonder what you're getting off the field. You know, what kind of baggage do they carry? Are they arrogant? Will they fit in the dressing room? And all those guys I mentioned, in particular Gianluca Vialli, were unbelievable, Dan. I mean, what a character, what a great sense of humour, what a, you know, the way that Luca treated everybody at the club at the time, no matter their status, star player, star coach, working in the canteen, it was all the same to him. And I think that's why we've seen today so many tributes about Gianluca Vialli the person, rather than just Gianluca Vialli the footballer, because the actual person was, as I said earlier today on social media, just a privilege to see that smile every morning. And Frank will tell you, morning chaps, that was his catchphrase. It was, once he figured out English, which took a bit of time, as you know, it was morning chaps, how are the chaps? Everything was chaps. And yeah, I mean, it was just, you know, to be able to share the dressing room with him was just a pleasure.
Frank, I imagine you have similar sentiments.
Yes, I have. I have Gianluca in my head since this morning, since I've been told, you know, the tragedy, and I want to cry at the same time. I want to laugh, because what I remember about Gianluca is the funny guy that he was, and that just Craig mentioned, the guy puts a positive attitude into the dressing room, and there was the perfect person, you know, to play with on top of it. He was of course a fantastic professional player, but he was a real skipper. And if I signed for Chelsea, it's because Mr. Ken Bates told me that Gianluca Vialli was about to sign as well. So when you have a chance to play with somebody like that, I mean, you can't refuse it. He really fell in love with Chelsea. The fans fell in love with him. That was absolutely crazy to see. I remember the assist that I gave him at Old Trafford, and I think he mentioned that, where, you know, we all say that strikers are selfish and they just care about what they did and score the goal. And I remember when he scored that goal and allowed us to win that game, he went straight to the fans, but at the same time he turned to me and he said, tu, which means in Italian, pour toi. He never forgot. He has never forgotten any teammates. He was always there for us. I remember the first Christmas party that we had in England, because we had to play, that we didn't go back to our family, and he spent the Christmas with my family. That I will always remember that. From Gianluca, I lost him when he became a coach, because he had to take distance with us, and that was really sad because he couldn't be the same, and that was natural. And well, I feel awkward today. I mean, that's simple as that. I'm so sad, so overwhelmed because of the situation. Because I lost my father. He was 60. Now I lost a friend. He was 58. I'm 55, and I feel that I really have to enjoy my life. But today I cannot, because I have Gianluca in my mind. I'm in London, and it was really randomly that I'm in London today. And every time I go, anywhere I go, I see him, because I spend the time with him in London. He was on his own when he signed, and I spent more time with him than with my ex-wife. That was crazy. We were always going everywhere, together, having some good times, going to restaurants, of course, training, and going partying in Covent Garden to play in some games. And I went back there today, and I say, well, that guy is not there anymore, and that's so unfair. And I think about his family, I think about his relatives and big friends, close friends. I mean, it's a nightmare to have lost Gianluca today.
I think a lot of people are feeling that, Frank. Craig, you mentioned, of course, it was the start of a very new era for Chelsea, but from where you were speaking, like, there never seemed to be an us and them divide in the locker room.
No, apart from, well, there was one divide. It was, and Stevie will be well aware of this, from his time in England at Liverpool, was there was us lot that went upstairs in the morning before training and sat in the canteen and had a cup of tea and a bacon roll before training, and there was the Italian boys, including Luca, who were in the gym at the training ground doing the strength and conditioning work. And we would look at them and go, what the hell are you doing? And they'd look at us and say, how can they be doing this before training? And so there was a kind of, it was definitely a cultural thing. And if anybody goes back to the Juventus days, when they were so successful there under Lippi, and look at how the guys trained and how they spurred each other on. That was sort of mid-90s, sort of 95, 96. And that's what they brought to the football club. Now, was it difficult for us to sort of comprehend that these guys were so professional? Yeah, it was. But in terms of the dressing room, the sense of humour, in fact, up until his passing, I think Luca still lived in London. He loved the British sense of humour. He integrated that in the dressing room. As you know, I've told the story about when he first arrived, he could barely speak any English, and he learned his English from Dennis Wise, which meant having to apologise a lot for terrible language. But once he did that, his use of the comical side of the British language and the sense of humour that we have really fitted in. And the other side of the coin was, the other passion that he got was golf. Now, when the Italian boys came in to start with, they didn't even know how to hold a golf club. And by the end of it, they were just playing golf 24/7 whenever they could. In fact, the last time I saw Luca Vialli, I had a chance. I bumped into him at Heathrow Airport, Dan. It'll be about 10 years ago now. And he was with a bunch of buddies of his. And I said to him, it was just by chance, I said, oh, I can't believe I bumped into you. So where are you going? He was going to South Africa on a golfing trip. That's how much he had got the bug. These guys just loved to come in. They played golf. They integrated with all the guys. He was super about the place. I mean, I know sometimes when people pass, you say, well, we have to make sure we say nice things because it's a tragic day, and it is. But it really isn't difficult here, because he was such a genuine individual. No matter what, never mind what he brought on the field. Gianluca about the dressing room was just a really, really nice guy. 58, as Frank said, is just no age at all.
Frank, before I let you go, just to end on the point that Craig was making at the start, just give us an insight into some of those conversations that you must have had with Luca, with Zola as well, about some of the lifestyle of the likes of, well, I don't know, Craig Burley.
No, that was funny because while he was having a breakfast with the sausages and everything, we were at the gym stretching, and we all shared, and then his wife was trying to follow us, and we say to the captain, we really have to work on those Scottish people, because Steve Clark was there as well. The Welsh, with Mark Hughes but also David Lee and all of the British people, upstairs. And he said, we have to work because we have to be successful. And I'm sure they're going to follow us if we keep on working like that. We knew what we were doing. We knew why we were hired for. And that was because of the professionalism that Craig was referring to. Can I say something too? It changed my life too. In which way? You have to guess. He changed my haircut.
He told you to shave your head, yeah, Frank?
Yeah, he shaved my head. I was ashamed to do that. My father didn't want me because he thought, when he saw him in '93, he thought I had a leukemia. But in '96, when I signed, I had that horrible haircut. And Gianluca, 2 months after, in the hotel room, they come over, and he had a trimmer, and he trimmed me. And he's been like since '96 that I'm like that, And that's because of him, because I didn't have the courage to do so, because only skinheads and maybe Buddhas, Buddhists would have the guts to do it. And I'm like Gianluca, so that's my tribute. And I don't have the choice, but that's my tribute.
I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much for sharing your memories and putting a smile on our faces as we remember the time of Gianluca Vialli, who, of course, passed away today at the age of 58. Thank you very much for watching ESPN FC on YouTube. For more highlights, analysis and exclusive content, be sure to subscribe.